So this video I don't think is worth watching if you don't have a son or daughter who plays basketball that struggles with fear on the court. A lot of our trainees have fear that holds them back from playing freely and with the enjoyment that brought them to the game in the first place. And here's an exercise that I've done that has helped me with some things in the past off the court that may be able to help your son or daughter on the court. As the wise teacher Yoda said, "Name must your fear be before banish it you can." I think is the quote. But here are the few questions and actions that they can ask themselves from the fear setting exercise. I got this from Tim Ferriss. Is more on the entrepreneurial and personal standpoint, but I do think it could be helpful for athletes on the court as well. So first, you have to define the nightmare and really ask what's the worst thing that can happen if you did what you're considering on the court. Is the impact permanent? Is it one nothing, or is it 10 irreversible or catastrophic? Irreversible catastrophe is what I'm trying to say. What training or steps could they take to repair the damage to get things back under their control? That's another question you can ask. And maybe you don't ask all these questions. Maybe it's one question that's asked. And another one is how likely is it that they can produce a moderately good outcome based on their training? And really, what kind of performance are they putting off because of the fear? That is probably the most frequently asked question, I think, not verbatim, but it's often asked from parents, I believe. And another question is how do they feel allowing the circumstance to impose upon them? And I know a lot of kids don't like to be controlled in that regard. And framing it in that sense may help unlock the realization that, hey, they are letting this fear control them and they don't like it. They want to do something about it. Risk, I've seen the definition of risk is the situation involving exposure to danger. And in the more extreme terms, it can be seen as the likelihood of a negative outcome that is irreplaceable or irreversible, I should say. That being said, inaction is the greatest risk of all when you consider that second definition. It's what we do and what we fear usually seems like it's the thing that actually needs to be done the most. So I think you can ask some of these questions. Um, in a thought experiment and see if it helps your athlete with their confidence on the court. Maybe not ask all of them. And hopefully these questions don't translate off the court where they're contemplating doing something that's not right, that's not good, uh, or obedient. Or what you can do is expose them to that situation and utilize constraints on the court, which we do in our training, where they have little choice but to play. They play small sided games. They play where they're going to have the ball in their hands one on one, and they, for lack of better terminology, they sink or swim. Really, things like our 3v3 league where they will have the ball in their hands more often. They're playing with friends. They're put in situations where they will be needed to execute, and they can't really hide behind nine other players on the court, which often happens when you have 5v5 games. So take off almost half of the people on the court, and now you have a 3v3 league, which is a more conducive environment to bring on that desired play. I think if you combine both of these, the fear setting exercise and the 3v3 league, you get a much more confident athlete. That's my theory. That's my hypothesis. Hope you guys can share this, like this, comment on this if it's helpful and if it's something that you're going to actually take action on for your athlete's success on and potentially off the court.